After listening through experience on engineering education, it's a time to know the students' opinion about our profession. For this purpose, we have invited 4 Argentinian students of selected faculties and different specializations. I have the pleasure to introduce you Tatiana Antonovich for the Institute of Technology of Buenos Aires, Industrial Engineering, Julia Cantando from the La Plata National University, Electrical Engineering, Bautista Chiesta from the Buenos Aires University, Civil Engineering, and Lucio Moya Farina from the Technological National University, System Engineering. They will they will answer 2 questions. The first question that they want to propose them is, why do I study engineering? The first will be Tatiana.
I chose to study industrial engineering to open my mind to new ways of thinking. I thought engineers were problem solvers, creatives, but also analysts. I was amazed by the idea of seeing the world with those eyes. University didn't disappoint me at all. I now realize the combination between creativity, intuition, analysis, and innovation. Specifically, industrial engineering's main purpose is to find better ways to do things, from designing alternatives to understanding their risks and possible outcomes. All these characteristics help us improve our surroundings. I wanted to leverage resources from education to be part of the new generation of leaders, and I thought of engineering as the best way to achieve my goal.
So I'm Lucio. I'm started like my idea of studying engineering, I think, is fine by my childhood. I love to build things with construction blocks when I was a child, and I used to watch like the boxes. I didn't like to read to the instructions and anything like that. So that's a concept that I later realized I was fine to reverse engineering. And as a child, so a little bit bigger, I was very lucky to have a computer early in my life, and I love to build things with that and like start programming little stuff. I remember my father bringing me like those big manuals, and I negating them. So because I like to understand things by building and by exploring the things. So when I was at high school, I already know that I was decided to study engineering. I didn't realize actually which one I was going to do. I was very attracted to electronics, mechanics, and also software engineering. So by the end of my high school, I ended up deciding to make software engineers because it was the thing that I had most at hand and what was more experienced by me throughout my life.
Hello. First of all, I'm very grateful to be able to participate. My name is Julia Cantando. I study electrical engineering at the National University of La Plata. Answering the question, I grew up in a home with an engineer father, so engineer was always a part of my life. Since I was a little kid, I always had a great concern about how things worked. This led me to pay more attention and dedication at school to subjects such as mathematics, physics, and chemistry. However, it wasn't until I knew how electrical energy was generated that I realized that I wanted to do that. In the first instance, nuclear energy was love at first sight. Later, I decided to study nuclear engineering, but engineer wasn't my only passion. Sport do as well. As a high-performance handball player, I had to balance my time and live in the capital city, and I couldn't move to Balseiro Institute. And I changed my focus to study electrical engineer. This decision went hand in hand with knowing the entire electrical world, from generation, distribution, and facilities. I believe that studying engineering allows me to contribute to community since it has a direct impact on its development. In engineering careers, the diversity of functions and the range of possibilities is very wide because it offers various fields of actions and specializations. Finally, I'm very happy with the career I choose. An important point for me is that new things constantly appears in this profession. As technology advances, electrical components and electronic devices are also constantly updated and changed. The electrical engineer will be able to accompany these advances and contribute with new ideas. An engineer is always in a continuous improvement process. So that's why I choose electrical engineer. Thank you.
As most engineering students do, I liked physics and math a lot during my high school years, but instead of becoming a physicist or a mathematician to study how things work, I realized that by studying engineering, I'd be able to create things to solve real-life problems. And not only that, when it comes specifically to why I personally chose civil engineering over the other careers, it came down to a concept of immortality that I had formed in my mind. And what I mean with this is that by building things that won't only serve a purpose to society, but will also outlast my lifetime, keeping part of my work alive way after my time here is done, gives the profession a sense of timelessness that no other career I know has in the same way. And after 4 years of studying, I realized that developing this creative process will allow me to solve both economic and social problems that surround society. So it won't necessarily come down to just building things that will outlive me, but to solve problems to help future generations.
Well, thank you for your answers. Let me make you a second question. My second question is, what actions do you propose to mitigate climate change?
I believe we give little attention to climate change. We are not thinking every day how we can turn our routine into a sustainable one, and neither are most of the industries. So I truly believe that awareness is the first step to fight it. Climate change is a well-known topic. We just need to make it our own. If we all show the importance of this matter, if we all start from ourselves, doing small but powerful actions, we can all send a message, and for sure, we'll be fighting against climate change. As a future industrial engineer, I aim to optimize industrial processes and use resources more efficiently. Going through and analyzing daily activities in organizations could help us save big amounts of energy. We can make big differences, not only on the environmental impact, but also on the organization times and costs. It's a win-win situation, right? I find in industrial engineers the nature of thinking outside the box, trying to find better solutions to current activities. Introducing sustainability is a restriction all projects should have, and we're responsible for it as we are for the success of the whole work. As technology evolves, our main concern should be to boost sustainable practices and understand how we can use it to improve processes and resources usage. During my leading experience as a student, I realized that the only way to achieve significant change is by working along with a team. Working at scale, mostly leveraging tech, allows exponential growth, and I believe that climate change requires immediate but steady actions.
I think climate change is one of our biggest problems of humanity right now that we have to solve. Science and engineering are very close disciplines, and usually one feeds from another, and sometimes another that way happens. I think scientists have already made like a tremendous job studying, quantifying, and informing about global warming. And now it's time for us, the engineers, to step up and do the next step. In the end, we are like natural problem solvers, so that this is what we do. In particular, I'm as a software engineer, think that our job impacts on all other engineers. We are like the glue that stands everything together. And so I think that we will have a lot to work to do in the years to come, either be connecting systems, developing new technologies, or analyzing the data that other instruments are going to give us. we are going to have like plenty of work, like optimizing and doing better stuff to improve our energy consumption and a lot of other stuff that can improve the climate change.
Answering the question from an electrical point of view, I believe that we live in an increasingly electro-dependent world with scarce resources. Society and engineers have the challenge of supplying this demand and doing it in a clean and efficient way. For this, it's necessary to take this issue with thought of integral sustainability. Think of solutions in a multidisciplinary and long-term way to generate a real change in our customs. Engineering can help in the mitigation and adaptation processes in the face of climate change. Everything will depend on the training, education, and interests of the people who apply their knowledge and skills within the various engineering specialties. I also believe engineering technologies, emerging technologies such as big data and artificial intelligence need to be given special attention, which are crucial to addressing the urgent challenges facing humanity. I think it's necessary to address regional disparities with inclusion, being a key point for sustainability. As future electrical engineer, I believe that access to energy is a right, which is why we face challenges in supply, transportation, and generation in precarious areas.
Since engineering is the art of problem solving for real-world issues, understanding climate change as a man-made problem is the first step. Then if I use Argentina as an example, I think countries in development are a constant example of not being able to focus on climate change because, justifiably, we have more imminent problems like high levels of child poverty or inequality. But still, I think that since we study these long careers, hopefully to solve future society's problems, we could incentivize future engineering endeavors to promote sustainability. So even though solving socioeconomic problems is definitely a high priority for us, if we don't accomplish that in a way that reduces the impact on the environment, the poorer communities will probably suffer the consequences the most, which means countries in development that aren't able to think long-term strategies will probably end up the worst. And well, this doesn't just apply to climate change. I think I wish long-term strategy became the new norm here to solve problems in Argentina.
Well, thank you, Tatiana. Thank you, Julia, Bautista, Lucio. It was very useful, your opinions, and for us, it's very proud to hear you. And it's very interesting and very refreshing to know your ideas about a challenge of a subject so quite important like climate change. Thank you, and it was very useful, your opinion.